feelings is one thing, but the law is another. And
Yeah.
with God, it's the same. We are all children. We cannot protest, but God, we are your children. Yeah, but you didn't obey my commandment. But we are your children. Let us in. Let us in. We cannot say that to God. Let us into heaven. Very firm in their immigration process. And if you have a baby there and I'm not Korean, my son cannot become Korean or have the
Exactly.
citizenship immediately.
Yeah, I feel,
So,
I feel the same way like with her because I was cooking and I was listening to the 100 questions.
all right, welcome out to God and Country. I'm Uriah Kennedy, and this is Ingrid. And we've got several good guests with us. I'm surrounded by beautiful women today. So this is my wife, Janet. And on Zoom with us, we have one of her best friends. Introduced her friend. She's coming out of Kentucky. And we're going to be discussing immigration today. We've done a lot of podcasts on the detrimental effects of illegal immigration. And what we want to do is to kind of compare illegal immigration with legal immigration, what it takes to do that. What really brought this subject up is last week my wife had her citizenship interview, and then probably within the next couple of weeks she'll be swearing in as a US citizen, which is a huge event for my wife here. So congratulations to her. We are back from kind of a 2-week break. 2 weeks ago, I went out and had my son's boot camp graduation. We just kind of wanted to show that for a second here. And we were going to try to make a video out of this, but something went wrong with my exposures, and we're still working on trying to get that video out. But here's my son, as well as my adopted son, graduating from boot camp in Missouri, and they went off to their AIT training in Virginia. And they're going to be Black Hawk helicopter mechanics. So it was a lot of fun being out there and seeing that graduation ceremony. All my sons are actually military. My oldest son is actually going back into the Army. He served in Korea as a air conditioning and generator mechanic for quite a while. And right during COVID, when everybody was getting the jab, he obviously refused to get the jab, and they kicked him out of the Army. And now, because of Trump, they're allowing him all back in, and so he's going back in as full-time National Guard. And my second son just retired from the U.S. Air Force, and he was in there for over 7 years as a staff sergeant. He was over 5 different wings down in Auckland, Texas. Got quite a bit of responsibility because not a single plane could even leave the ground without his signature on it, so he had quite a bit of authority down there. And then my last son, my adopted son, obviously just graduated from boot camp going to Virginia right now.
What great kids.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Four kids in the military. Great military family. Last week, or this last Monday, last week I was out of town on vacation, but this last Monday we were going to have Burgess Owens on, and that was a big plan for this last week, but he has postponed until next week, so he will still be on. And then today we were actually going to have a gal from Iran, and kind of explaining how things are going in Iran, and she's also postponed a couple weeks. So today we decided to talk about immigration, which is a big thing going on right now. And the main thing that spurred this whole immigration talk is Representative Maria Salazar from Miami. She's a representative from Miami, and she's coming out with a proposed legislation, which is what they're calling the Dignity Act. Now, the Dignity Act, I'm going to let her kind of explain it, and then we'll kind of go into both Angelica, which is coming from Kentucky, as well as my wife's legal process of coming into the United States, and then we'll compare that to illegal immigration. So let's listen to Maria Salazar and what the Dignity Act is trying to do here.
For more than 5 years, you do not have a criminal record. you're working and paying taxes, you can come out of the shadows with no fear and apply for the dignity status.
We recognize that immigrants make our country great. Immigrants are the backbone of our communities and of our country and our economy.
Florida Republican Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar joins me now from Capitol Hill. Congresswoman, great to have you with us. Talk to me about this legislation, and is it designed to in some way temper or soften the aggressive immigration enforcement going on now under the Trump administration?
Well, it's going to put an end to it because what we're presenting is common sense. I call it as a Solomonic type of immigration reform. And it has dignity and no amnesty, no path to citizenship. So what we're going to do is that if you've been here for more than 5 years and you do not have a criminal record and you have been working and paying taxes in construction, hospitality, agricultural, slaughterhouses, fisheries, dairies, you can come out of the shadows and pay $7,000 over 7 years. You grant 1% of your earnings for 7 years. And then you can go home for Christmas or bury your mother, and you can come out and buy homes and continue contributing to the economy, paying taxes and working in those jobs where other Americans don't want to participate in.
So there's no path to citizenship
None.
in that.
It's strictly a work relationship with the United States. And I kind of like that because it basically gives them work permits. And we'll discuss that because Janet had a work permit for quite a while. But it basically gives them, if they've been in the United States for 5 years or more,
Legal status.
gives them essentially not even permanent residency. It just gives them a legal work status.
Work visa
A
type
work
thing.
visa type of thing, a permanent work visa. They've got to pay $1,000 a year for 7 years and then 1% of whatever their paycheck
What
is.
if that person wants to go through the process?
Well, I'm sure that they could start that process. I'm sure all of them could start that process. I'm sure many of them should have already started that process.
Correct.
I like what she's doing. I kind of partially supportive of that personally, of what she's trying to do. The only thing that I would add to that is not only no criminal record, but also no history of living off of entitlements, no food stamps.
What if they
no
started out
Medicaid.
in the system but left it to work?
I mean, they could probably figure something like that out. But I think there's a lot of illegals that come up here specifically because they know that system is available. And legally, the law is that if you're an illegal immigrant, you shouldn't be on food stamps, you shouldn't be on Medicaid. But there are specific people out there nowadays showing illegal immigrants how to bypass the system and actually get those
Right.
benefits. I mean, that's actually their actual job as so-called consultants to teach illegal immigrants how to get on food stamps, get on WIC. And then the other problem of that is there's a lot of deep state employees representing the government that know for a fact they're working with somebody that is illegal, and they just simply don't care. They're on the liberal side, and they just said, look, I'll just throw this paperwork in and give you those benefits. And so that's really what's happening, especially in deeper blue states. And even here in Utah, I've seen it even in Davis County and Salt Lake County, where there's a lot of those government workers that know for a fact that this person sitting on the other side of the desk is illegal. They don't care. They'll slip that paperwork in and give them the food stamps, give them the Medicaid, give them the WIC benefits.
You know, and the far left really pushes an agenda to the people who are, I say, ignorant in a kind way. You know, you get your information from social media. You don't do any resource searches. You don't look to see where the source is coming from. If you hear it on Instagram or TikTok, it's a fact. And those people don't differentiate. To them, immigrants are all the same. They don't understand the difference between the legal and the illegal. And my parents immigrated here legally in the 50s, and aunts and uncles, and there was a process that they went through, and it did take time. It took years before the whole family would be together, but they did that. They opened up shops. My aunts and my mother had a wedding shop in New York, working visas, and they came to be together because my father worked for an international engineering company and was getting sent to the U.S. a lot. I understand their marriage was a little bit on the rocks too, and the sisters were saying, if you come here, you're going to have more family support. We'll help you guys work through this.
And your family's from Chile.
From Chile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my two oldest sisters also. So they did that the right way. And a lot of these people who just listen to TikTok, you need to realize that illegal immigration is a slap in the face to the people who are trying to do it legally. And there is a difference. And they're spouting all this stuff that legal people are, just because of the color of your skin, are getting arrested with no crime's been committed. They're going into camps, summer camps, and illegally arresting people. Well, that summer camp, they were trafficking children. So that was quite the summer camp, and those people were committing crimes.
That was funny because I saw that when that hit the news, and everybody was protesting that, and then the marijuana farmer also got hit.
Yeah.
The pot farm. And they were saying, oh, they're arresting all these people.
Great citizen. These are just working class people minding their own business.
And then the one guy was one of the top leaders of the cartel here in the States, top leader of the cartel, and he had known ties with child sex trafficking. He had been prosecuted himself for violating children, and yet he had something like 12 or 14 girls with him at that camp, and they were what they call unaccompanied, which is the politically correct term for saying that they did not have parents or a legal guardian with them, which means they're being trafficked.
Yeah,
that's the legal name for being trafficked. Is unaccompanied.
These bleeding heart people who are good people, who are compassionate, care about people, you're being misled, you're being lied to. Look for the source and find the real story behind what you're seeing on TikTok or Instagram, because there's a lot more going on. This stuff is not happening for no reason. ICE is not going in there wanting to arrest people because they're racist. We're trying to protect the citizens that are here legally. Me, you, my families that immigrated.
Yeah. And the big thing behind immigration in the first place is, like we've covered in many episodes before and in some of these smaller videos, is the only reason why we're trying to stop illegal immigration so much is because of voting. We do not want our entire U.S. system, our freedoms, our democracy, which is not actual democracy, but our republic, completely destroyed because of illegal immigrants. And the way illegal immigrants would destroy that is because of the voter base. We have a lot on the left that the only reason that Biden had that border open on the south is because of the illegal immigration. They wanted to import.
It's a pretty brilliant plan.
Their voters. And they knew they can do it because the illegal immigrants provide two things to the Democratic Party. One, Democrats have always wanted a path to citizenship. And the only reason they want a path to citizenship is because they want them voting. And as we know, what we've covered in previous podcasts as well, is they're trying to do with the Latin community what they did with the black community. With the black community coming out of the civil rights movement and all that, they got the black community hooked on social assistance.
We'll take care of you. Government will take care of you.
Government will take care of you. And it completely decimated the black community, put them in the slums, put them in the ghettos, created these gangs, because they were just all completely dependent on the government.
Yeah.
You lose your self-esteem, you lose your drive, you lose everything when you're that dependent on the government. And now when you have illegals coming across, now they've got the blueprint and they know exactly what to do. They're going to take those illegals, get them addicted on public assistance, and now they've got a permanent voting block, because once you're on that public assistance, it's really, really hard to come off. As we can see in the black community, it takes generations for them to get off of that and get to where they've got that self-esteem back, they've got that work ethic back, and they've got that drive back. And Democrats know that they can have that permanent voting block if they can get them imported and they can find a path to citizenship. The other problem is our congressional leaders. It's based off of the census, and we have a census coming up here in 2030, which is why California is freaking out, because they have a net, what do they call it? It's not immigration, where people are just moving out of California. And Newsom came out the other day trying to defend, just like 2 days ago, came out and tried to defend that, no, we're not losing population here in the United States, we're actually increasing our population. And then he just got decimated all over social media by saying that.
By fact checkers?
By fact checkers saying that, no, California's lost a significant amount of their population. In fact, the only demographic in which California is growing in population is the illegals. And that's because they put themselves as a sanctuary state, which, and he's passed rules where he's allowing illegals to get public assistance.
They're not only coming in for that, they're smuggling drugs over the border.
Yeah,
They're
in-state
trafficking
tuition.
kids. How many of those children are disappearing at the border being trafficked?
And they're all going
A
to
lot.
California, But what happens when you take that census is everybody's counted. Legals, illegals, everybody's counted. And so that determines how many representatives you have in Congress. And right now, California's set to lose 2 congressional seats. And they'll probably lose 1 to Utah, maybe lose 1 to Texas or Florida, which puts more congressional seats on the Republican side, which is what Democrats definitely do not want to have happen. And so they're purposely trying to have that happen. And if we have 10, 20 million illegals all of a sudden have a passive citizenship and voting, that just completely changes the demographic, the voter block entirely, and Republicans will hardly ever
How
win
did
ever
we
again.
dumb down a society to not understand every country has immigration laws?
Yeah.
There's
Well,
just
we're
rules
different,
and a
right?
process to do it, right? Yeah, we're built on immigrants for sure. We're all immigrants, every one of us, unless you're born here. And every country has laws. We're just trying to enforce the laws.
Yeah. And again, the purpose behind enforcing the law is to protect what we have. It's to protect the freedoms. It's to protect our republic. It's to protect our way of government. You got checks and balances with three parts of the government. You've got a Republican side and Democrat side. We're trying to keep those fair and balanced. But yet we have one side, the Democratic side, that's gone completely socialistic. They're pushing more socialistic, especially with AOC and this new governor they're trying to get elected in New York. It's like they didn't learn from the Trump election, and they're actually going farther and farther left and trying to get more
They're
and more
imploding.
socialism. They're trying to accept and make socialism mainstream. And if they can get an entire 20 million illegal immigrants voting, and like we showed in that podcast a while ago where we had a on-street interview, and he says, well, I think the best system out there is socialism. I think the
best example
the first 4 years of Russia
that's
was
the way we ought to
best.
do it.
That's just scary, because you got people, the problem with illegals is they have no understanding of our freedoms, none. All they know is what they've grown up with. They have no sense of law and order, because
That doesn't exist in their country.
They don't have that in Mexico.
So some of the people coming, with those open borders were just people who know that the system takes a while here to do it legally, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so they're thinking, well, while the borders are open, I'm going to come through
And
illegally.
with legal immigrants, you actually have to learn U.S. history, what the government is, what freedoms are. There's a process to that gives you some education. So it changes from that socialistic, no morals, do whatever you want type of mindsets, particularly coming from Mexico. There's just no rules down there, to where now you
We used
understand
to
what the
learn that
system
stuff
is.
in school. It's not even in the curriculum anymore.
Yes.
Well, let's start here with Angelica, because she's got to leave. So Angelica, you came into this country. What year did you come in?
I came 1998, the first time. Yes.
1998, so quite a while ago. You came across as a fiancé visa, right?
No. The first time I came in a work visa. Actually, I came to the United States many times before I got married. And United States was offering jobs here in the United States, in my country, in Chile. So I was studying to become an English teacher. So these advertisements were all in the university for students who were studying English. So the first time I lived in New Jersey, and I came with a F1 visa to work as an au pair. So yeah, that was my first time.
So coming across as a legal
Yeah.
legal visa,
Yes.
which is definitely different than just crossing the border, the southern border, right? There's
Yes.
a
Was
legal way of doing
Angelica
it.
given a cell phone, a place to live, and a stipend to start her life?
Well, we had a family, so we
Like a
were
host family?
coming with a family, and we stayed with them. We took care of the children. In exchange, We got a salary, we got medical, and also the family provide some money so we can study something in a community college or whatever we wanted, but something small because the visa was just for 1 year. So, and that was provided by the United States government. So I thought that there was great opportunities for everybody that wanted to come and experience the American life, and doing that in a American family environment was really, really cool. Yeah, and then after that year, our visa was over, and then I went back to Chile, and then apply again for to study to improve my English. So then I applied for a school in Utah, and then I studied more English, and then that visa was over, and then I went back again. I keep studying my university in Chile, and then I had summer jobs that were also offered by the government for some businesses here in the United States. And then I work in New Orleans. I also work for Disney, and we used to work in a cruise for Disney. And all those things were great opportunities to come to the United States and work. And I mean, if you look, you will find there's so many opportunities that businesses in the United States offer to people in all over the world. I mean, I work for Disney, and Disney have people from all over the world to work in their cruises. So it's a matter of looking and then do it the right way. And then you have peace.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of peace, because you're not afraid of ICE coming and knocking on your door, right?
No, not at all. And then in all that, they took money from our paycheck and paid taxes. And even though we were employees from another country with different visas, we still had to pay some taxes. The only time we didn't pay taxes was for Disney because I think they have their businesses in another country.
They're in international waters.
I don't know. I don't know how they do that, but I don't even know paying taxes with Disney. So yeah, so it was a really great experience where we can enjoy the American life and what this country offered to everybody.
How long did it take you to pick up English?
Oh, well, I was studying English in Chile. So, and then it takes a while to adjust the ear and taking classes and practicing. I think that is the clue, is practicing and not immerse in your Latin culture. If you are in another country, you want to learn the language. That's why you are there, just to participate of what is offered. So it took me like three years to really speak. Okay, I don't know how I'm speaking right now, but yeah. But I was already studying in my country. Yes.
I always laugh with my wife about Sofia Vergara, because she's from Colombia, same as my wife is. We're always making fun of her accent. I think it's the funniest thing ever. But just talking to you, we have a lot of friends that have come over from other countries, and they've been here 20, 30 years.
Right.
And they still don't speak
Yes.
English.
Yes, that's true.
And it's a matter of making an effort. Like for my part, I never went to school. I didn't have that chance to do that because I have to work. So what I did is I went to the library. I took videos, CDs, and I was in my car just repeating, listening. And practically, one of the presidents that I admire a lot is President Abraham Lincoln. And one of the reasons that I admire him is because most of his studies, he did it by himself. So I have the goal to learn English by myself, and and it's a matter of proof that we can do that if we make an effort. And this is the sad part of a lot of people, that they just don't put that effort and the time, and they're being here for 20, 30 years and having a really hard time to communicate. And it's very important because it's the only way that you can progress and defend yourself and be successful.
And knowing more than one language is such an asset in the work community that they just would benefit from it. But I know my mother, even though she understood English just fine and she'd speak it, if she could get away without using it, she was embarrassed about her accent because she couldn't pronounce. Like, she'd ask me, like enunciation, she'd say a word over and try to have me correct her. But she was embarrassed about her accent, and I'd be like, Mommy, it doesn't, it's cute.
Yes, and talking about Sofia Vergara, which I really admire and
adorable.
love her. And I do have a strong accent, but I feel happy that, because of my effort, I am able to communicate with people, and that is a blessing.
And I'm just saying that there's no excuses. I hear this all the time. We hear it on on the comments below our messages or our podcasts. Like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're being unfair.
Oh, I like when they call me and my white privilege, and I'm like,
yeah, you're in your white privilege.
Again, get your facts straight.
Yeah, because your parents
I'm a Chilean. I'm 100% Chilean, but I was born in this country.
Yeah, and my first wife is from Chile, and all my kids are half Chilean and half American, and obviously my current wife's from Colombia, and my last child is half Colombian and half American. So they can't call me racist. You can't tell me I have white privilege. It's what we're trying to demonstrate here is, if you put the effort out there, if you're not lazy, there's a right way of doing things. And that's what just upsets me, is people come here to take advantage of the system, abuse the system, and then even start just committing crimes and stealing from the system, and then not even putting an effort to learn what America is, what freedom really is. And they try to make here what it's like in their home countries. Right? They don't know anything better. A lot of Mexicans will come here and all they know is cartels, all they know is crime, all they know is just dirty streets. They know traffic laws, or at least traffic laws are not enforced, garbage, and they make here what they are accustomed to in Mexico or in these other countries, and they don't assimilate to what we have here and learn what is freedom. Why did we fight so many wars? What was World War II, World War I? What were we fighting for there? Why did we have so many Americans out there dying for this country and defending what we have here as our freedoms and our rights and our privileges? And then instead they just come here and just say, you owe us, you guys are privileged, we're not, you owe us these type of things. And they automatically come across the board with this entitlement mentality.
Not all. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I see some come and they're working
Right.
Yeah.
2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet. And I would
There is a
watch
lot of good people.
In Florida, I noticed as a young child, the Cuban immigrants, they would have a home and they would live in there, 15 people. They would educate them. The Cubans were really, if you weren't a doctor or an attorney, you were nothing. Generally, that was the what do you call that when you label somebody? But they would put a child out, graduate that one, and that one person would put back into the pool. And they were very about advancing. And they'd kind of close themselves off and not assimilate as well, because they thought, no, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna make somebody of ourselves. And you see those generations now; those grandchildren are in public office and doing very well, and their legacy is very good. The ones who decide to be victim, and I just want to live off the system, like you said, the self-esteem, that just brings you down. You grow no self-esteem. Look at the stories of, what's the show Will Smith did with the one guy, like showering in the bathroom, whatever, and applying in Wall Street. When you work hard out of something, the accomplishment that you feel empowers you. It empowers you for life.
Yeah, and there's both of that, which is why I like what Salazar is doing, that representative, is she's trying to figure out a path to citizenship for those who did come here with that mentality to work hard and earn what they have.
At least somebody's trying to figure out something, because we do need to make the system easier for those who are doing it legally.
Yeah.
Right.
As much as we all would like to deport 30 million people or 40 million people, how many people are here, we all know that's just not feasible. We could probably get a couple 100,000 deported, but to get that many deported is just not possible. So there's got to be some kind of a path. But I want to hold it to those people who came across as honestly as possible, and if they did come across illegal, at least they were working, paying taxes, not committing crimes, and not taking advantage of social assistance. Okay, then let's figure something else for you. But if you're here committing crimes, or you're here just living off of food stamps, WIC, and Medicaid, you need to go.
So when did Angelica start? Angelica, when did you start the process where you decided, okay, I want to become a citizen. I want to remain here. What year was that?
2019.
And how does that process start? What does one do?
Well, I was already married, so I married to an American. So, and he is in the army, and we start all this process when we were living in Italy. So it took a while just to get the green cards and all of that, and interview and papers here, paper there.
How long?
It's a long process just to have your green card, just to be able to stay here in this country. So it was kind of a different system for me because we were living overseas.
Mm.
So, but in 2019, my husband had the impression that I needed to become a citizen. It actually was his invitation. So I said, okay, but in the future, I knew why it was important. So, yeah, and we were in Hawaii when we started this to become citizen, which it was a very easy process. Didn't take that long. It was over a year I became a citizen.
Well, kind of describe that initial process, because we have a lot of audience that have no idea what this process is even like to even start it. And we can kind of comment with both of you at the same time here is your initial application to just get your green card.
Yes.
How much did it cost to get that submitted? How long, how many months or years did you have to wait for that to get processed where you even got it?
For me, it was very long because I was living in Chile when I got married. My husband, he was in Italy, I was in Chile. I was no longer living in the United States. So we got married there, and then we went to live in Italy where he was living. So we did all this through the embassy. But because I was a Chilean citizen, all my papers were sent to Chile. And then I had to go back to Chile to get my interviews and everything. So I had to go back. And then in the meantime, they lost my papers.
Oh.
So
you go to Chile and you go to the US Embassy in Chile to do this?
In Chile, yes. It had to go through the embassy, the United States Embassy in Chile. So I was there just waiting and separated from my husband. We were newly married. So it took us, we were separated because of that, and because he was in Italy, and then he had to go back to United States for like 3 months to become a captain. So I waited in Chile instead of me there being in here. So we were separated like for 6 months to do this. And then he was transferred to Korea. So we went to Korea, and then my papers were transferred to Korea.
Oh my goodness.
To the embassy there. So it was a process of 3 years to get my green card.
Get your green card. And what are the fees behind that?
Well, the fees, I don't remember, but it's not very expensive. What is expensive are the lawyers. When you need to have your process fast, like to really move your papers and everything, a lawyer can really help when it is a good lawyer. And then you have to have a lot of trust in that lawyer, because there are many ones that just want your money for some reason. So instead of helping you, they delayed everything and may spend money, and they want more money. So it's a good system and a bad system. So there
Right.
you have to be wise to get a good lawyer.
So you think
So
the
that's
fee,
what
the
he's
fees to the government, were they more than $1,000, a couple $1,000? What?
I think it's $1,000 could be something, but this was in 2015 when I got my green card. So I don't remember being that expensive. I don't remember that it broke, that I had to ask for a loan and anything. No, I think the more expensive thing was a lawyer. So yeah.
And your husband was in the Army, and he obviously, because you're best friends with my wife, and I kind of followed where you guys were traveling, but you guys went all over the world because he kept getting transferred.
You
guys were in Hawaii for a while, Korea for a while. My
Yes.
favorite, you guys were in Dubai for a while. We were all jealous.
We were in Kuwait.
You're in Kuwait.
So I have seen a lot of countries and how their governments treat immigrants. And I don't know why we're here in the United States all scared because how we try to put order in immigration, when other countries are very, very strict. Nobody said anything about it. I mean, Korea is very firm in their immigration process. And if you have a baby there and I'm not Korean, my son cannot become Korean or have the
Exactly.
citizenship immediately. So that is something here in the United States. But some way we are like, oh, why are we doing this? You know, so other countries have very strong immigration laws. So
Huge immigration laws. Kind of go through and
Yes.
explain what the interview processes were, because no one's been in an interview for a green card or an interview for a citizenship. Explain your feelings going into that interview. Were you nervous, not nervous, what you had to study, what the
For the
immigration
green card-
officer was like?
Yeah, for the green card, it wasn't nerve-wracking or anything because they were not going to ask me anything about history or anything. So I went to the United States Embassy in South Korea. So I went with my husband. That is so important that you go with a person that is kind of like sponsoring you. Otherwise, they are going to deny the interview. You must go with your husband. So we went, and they were asked a simple question: where we met, and how long have we been married, and I was very pregnant, so that was a very big sign that I wasn't in marriage for real. And so yeah, simple questions about our lives, and then we were granted the green card. And when we came back to the United States, I had to bring all those papers and show it to a special immigration officer at the airport. And then we had to wait, and they had to stamp my papers, and then I received my green card in the mail. That's how it was for me.
And then how long of a wait between getting your green card and then applying for citizenship?
For me, it was 4 years.
4 years? I think standard is a 3-year wait, or is it a 5-year
Yes,
wait? It's 3-year.
If
I
you're
think
married,
it's 5, but I think for the wives of military, I think it's a shorter time. I think for the military it's 3 years or something to apply for a citizenship. I think it's because we always moving and going to other countries, so I think that's why.
How long was it for?
for us,
It was 5 years, wasn't it?
it was 3 years.
It was 3
If
years,
you're to get the green card, 3 years.
3 years from green
Yeah,
card.
for Janet was very fast.
my apologies. To apply for citizenship. Yeah.
It was 3 years. That's what
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
And then going into your citizenship interview and applying for that, then how was that? The study
That was
time?
very, very simple. Was the simplest thing ever. We fill it up. papers like online, and then I received an email when my interview was going to be. I showed up. Everybody was very nice. I think we're so afraid that they're going to treat us bad and looking down to us, or why are you doing requesting these? I had such a great experience with people in Hawaii. And so yeah, it was very simple, asking about my life, and then went to the questions about United States government and history. Yeah.
What kind of questions were you asked?
About history?
Yeah, about the U.S.
Well, it was about, there were so many. I had to read a book at that time. I think Janet said that now they do it online. So about George Washington, the first president, the wars here in the United States, and conflicts and here and there, and then also how the government functioned, the legislative, the executive power, and all the powers here in the United States, and some laws and stuff like that. So we really need to know why we swearing. I mean, I swear to become a citizen. I respect this country. How I'm gonna do it if I don't know anything about this country? So you kind of learned and started loving this, because you know the reason, the why this country came about, and all the wonderful things that this man in the past did for this country. So I remember swearing in my citizenship
ceremony.
Yeah, and I was crying because it was so emotional, and I look at the flag. It just filled my heart with pride, with a good pride. I really love this country, and has so many things good to offer. So yes, we learn to love the people, and we learn to live under this law, because I'm in somebody else's house. I can't just bring my thing to this country. I put my flag outside. No, this is United States. I'm just a visitor. Even though I have a citizenship, I am still accepted, adopted. So, and I have to embrace this culture. And yeah, I still cook my meals in my house, and I still have my culture in my heart, but I don't impose it to anybody because I'm in somebody else's house. Let's put it that way.
So I assume you've seen the news lately with all the protests going on in California and stuff like that.
Yes.
So how does that make you feel when you see all these protesters flying foreign flags on U.S. soil and demanding rights?
Make me very upset. And you know what? This is not just here in the United States. In my country, we got a socialist president, and they opened the borders too. So we have millions of illegal immigration, and citizens of Chile are having the same problem as the Americans. And now we are feeling what you guys have been feeling for a long time. So I don't think it's right. I mean, you had to be humble just to stay in somebody else's country. This is not yours, and not because this country is based on the freedom and all that. It doesn't give you the right, the freedom. It is because we obey the law. The law gives us that freedom. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. It would be a communist, crazy country. So what is the difference between freedom and libertinaje? Freedom is one thing. Freedom is one thing, but that freedom is also tied to obeying the laws. And that's why you have that freedom. This is like the God. We obey God and his commandments, and that's why we have peace. And that's why we have like a sense of freedom, because we are not tied out to any crazy things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, the principles are identical with obeying the laws of the land as well as obeying the laws of God, right?
Yes,
the laws of God are not there to tie you down and restrict you, and they're there to make you free, because you're not tied down by addictions is what I'm trying to think of. You're not
Vices.
stuck.
Yeah.
Vices, addictions aren't controlling you, because anytime vices or addictions control you,
Yes.
you've lost your freedom
And
to that
see, you
vice or
understand
addiction.
that, but you have a society now who wants to be able to commit crimes and have no consequences.
Yeah.
There should be no consequences. Like, there are natural consequences to doing things, never mind the consequences of the law. So if
Yes.
you came in here knowingly, you decided to take your chance and come in here illegally, there's a consequence to that. You don't get to cry foul because we're gonna come to your work and take you out.
Yes. So
Well, I
you
just
leave
want
in
to kind of
fear.
point out the soul and heart difference between what we're seeing in LA and all these protests and what Angelica just expressed here, right? We're seeing
Yes.
a lot of people that, like you were saying, that come in here and fight and work. But I think that was like more historical. It's like immigrants from 40, 50 years ago. Because most of the immigrants coming in nowadays are just entitled, and they come in here like, you're richer than us, so you owe us.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to give us these things. We have to get the benefits. You guys are taking advantage of the rest of the world, and it's not just illegals coming into the United States, but I'm seeing that amongst our own poor. And we get enough out here in the United States where socialism is taking grasp, and it's the bottom looking up and saying, you guys are rich enough, you owe us, and we need to redistribute that wealth. And that entitlement, that mentality is just going to destroy the world. But you
Yes,
can
and it's
see the
happening
heart
all
and
over.
soul that Angelica is expressing here. And it's that heart and soul that we want to have in all immigrants. And you can't get that heart and soul, that pride in the country, because she's, like she said, she was crying during her oath and really honored the flag and wants to be here, part of the United States. That's a cultural change. That's an understanding of and an appreciation for the United States. And a lot of people just don't have that appreciation anymore. And you can't get that type of appreciation by illegally coming across the border. It's just not there. You get that through a process, and through understanding it, through earning it.
Gratitude for the opportunity.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. The sense of entitlement, it take you away from being grateful and appreciate the opportunities that we have in this country that many of us, we don't have in our own country for many reasons, because we are too old or because we don't have the schooling necessary for doing this job or another job. And I understand what Angelica says, that many people have taken this freedom very
For granted.
for granted, and then just asking and demanding things instead of being grateful and respectful, you know?
But can I say something? Can I say something also? Because of my husband's job, we lived in Honduras. Honduras is a very, very poor country. And many people there that I met, they were very, very poor. And they dreamed to come to the United States just to change their situation in their family. And sometimes a lot of kids were raised by grandmas, because the mother had come illegally to the United States just to give a better future to their kids. And they have crossed the border and do all things, and they are organizations to bring people over the borders. So I know there are people that come in here and commit crimes and everything, and even coming here illegally is by itself a crime. So it's hard. Because I live with them, I see them, I understand that why some people want to come here, but they want to come to work, and they don't want to abuse the system, but they need the money because their countries are not providing. So the other countries need to do something for their people too. So this system is very complicated.
And I
it's
feel
not
so.
just the one that come here and they don't care about this country, but it's also the people that comes for other reasons. But I understand that they have to do it legally and all that, but poor people are never going to be given visas. Never. That is a fact. Because you have to show that you have something substantial in your country to be able to come to the United States.
Yeah, what do you have to offer?
Exactly. And some people don't even know how to read or write. They're so poor. And they cross the border for that. And they save money to pay these guys that bring them over. And some people just come to the United States, work for 5 years, and they save money and they go back and build a house, or they pay for their college for the kids in Honduras. So it's more than just this. There's a very, very complicated problem of immigration. And it's not just here in the United States. I see the same thing in Chile, people from Peru, from Bolivia, that cross the border just to be mates in my country illegally, because they need to support their families. So,
yeah, and Chile's in a much better situation than both Peru and Bolivia. When I was serving my church mission down there, I saw a ton of that, tons of it. Just because I served way up on the northern side of Chile, right on the border with both Peru and Bolivia, and I saw just constantly people just crossing the border. Exactly. It was as bad as it was with Biden, and I was a 19-year-old nobody, and I was seeing it come across because Peru and Bolivia it's crazy poor. And Chile is in a much better situation, and not a ton better, because even in northern Chile, I was still seeing a lot of dirt floors and a lot of shacks that people are trying to live in, and yet still significantly better than what they had in Peru and Bolivia. And then you get down to the capital or down to Santiago, and obviously Santiago is just like any American city. It's just
and that's where they go to work.
Modern city.
But now, because Venezuela, Colombia, Haiti start having all those problems, all those went down, and then now my country is very difficult to live. It's there are a lot of gangs and cartel and all the stuff. So,
and the biggest problem you guys are facing is your new president, because you guys went socialist.
Yes, and he doesn't do anything. So they're trying to do the same thing as President Trump are doing, trying to make some immigration laws and close the border. And we have the Democrats who say, no, why are we going to do this? It's inhumane. So Democrats are the same all over.
Same no matter what country
go by
you go
the
to.
feelings and no abide by the law. Feelings is one thing, by the law is another. And with God it's the same. We are all children. We cannot protest, but God, we are your children. Yeah, but you didn't obey my commandment. But we are your children. Let us in. Let us in. We cannot say that to God. Let us into heaven. Just because we are his children. We needed to be abide by his commandments.
Amen.
Such a good point. I like that one. Such a good point. And my heart goes out to those who are trying to come across, because you're right. Poor people are never going to be able to immigrate, because the United States is just not going to let them in, because part of the applications process to show that you can sustain yourself, not be a burden on society, and the poor people just don't have the wherewithal to do that.
And that's why my uncle came, and he worked for years because they were poor. He was able to get over, and he worked for the newspaper that owns like Vanity Fair and all that in Florida. But he worked for years so that he could show, I can sustain my family. I can support my family if you'll let the rest of my family come. Little by little, they came over.
And we're going to show here, because my wife's got a great story about coming across the border poor legally and still sustaining yourself. So even though my heart goes out to those who are poor trying to come across, you still got to be sustain yourself, because it is not up to the U.S. taxpayer to support you. We cannot, here in the United States, support the world. It's just not functional. And we already get taxed like crazy. We already have way too much in foreign aid going to every other country, because our government gives out foreign aid to everybody. And Trump's trying to rein that back in and put America first, which is what he should be doing, because we have our own problems here in the United States. And we just cannot be the society that supports the world. It's just not possible.
You wouldn't invite people into your home and take care of and feed and clothe them and ignore your own children.
Yeah, it's just not possible.
And besides, United States send money to Honduras, and even people there say they never seen any improvement. So the government is the one that keep that money and build one little thing, but nothing. There is no progress in Honduras whatsoever from the money that is given to Honduras from the United States. That's not happening.
Yeah, no government's gonna.
No.
No government's going
Especially
to pass
those
that money
countries
down
that-
to the people, because we give tons of money to countries in Africa. We give
Yes.
tons of money to even Egypt gets tons of money from us, and they don't even like us. They hate us. And
Yeah.
all these, we give money to European nations. There's just so much public and foreign
Yes.
aid that goes out there, and we're
Yeah.
getting nothing, absolutely nothing for it. And the problem is people get used to that, because it's the same thing as getting stuck on public assistance here. You get so used to it that you stop putting an effort out there. They're just,
And we
You
need to quit. You
become
made a point before when you were saying the
dependent.
taxpayer can't sustain this. We keep saying the government. And so these people who don't understand, like the government, that's us. We are the government. We run the
Yeah.
government. We are the people. And so that money comes from us. It's not some magic place that has money, that prints money for. I mean,
Yes.
they are printing money. But that comes out of your pocket. And we can only sustain so much.
yeah, and it's so true. It's bewildering to me how people think that the U.S. government just has this magical pot of money and they just hand out whatever they want. They're just unlimited. No, that's my money and your money and your money, and I mean, it's coming from somewhere. And our society right now, inflation is so high, cost of living is so high. I mean, we're barely surviving as it is for a lot of us. I mean, we show great wealth here, and obviously the poorest people here in the United States are still significantly wealthier than the poor people
Yes.
around the world. So people look at that and say, what do you guys have to complain about? But those of us living here are still saying, look, I barely have enough to keep the lights on, to keep the utility bills paid, and now the government's wanting to come and give me more taxes. My gas tax is going up, my real estate tax is going up, my property tax is going up, and it's just, it's crazy how people just take advantage of that. And then what's your problem? Well, why are you complaining for? You guys have plenty of money.
Yeah.
And there's just zero appreciation for that. And the difference, again, between how Angelica came across and how others have come across is she has learned an appreciation for it. And as much as I feel sorry for those who are poor that want to come across the border, it's got to come across the border in a way that is sustainable, where not only can we mold you into society, and you've gone through the same process where you've learned and to appreciate and be grateful for what our nation really is. There's that whole education process, and it's not just an education process, it's a heart process, a heart and mind process, where we're changing your heart and mind into understanding what freedom is, understanding what a constitutional republic is.
Exactly. What a republic is.
It's a complete mindset change. So we got to change your heart, we got to change your mindset, and then we got to add that education to you. I mean, that's an entire process in and of itself. And you can only do that with so many people at a time. If you've got a million people come across the border in a month, there's just no way you can change that mindset. And so instead of us educating others and bringing them up to our standards, over illegal immigration actually brings us down to their level, and it degrades our country, and that's how your country just dissolves and becomes non-existent. That's how we lose our country. And people just don't understand it. They just think that we're this bottomless pit and we can absorb as millions at a time without even affecting us, and we got trillions of dollars we can throw around, and it's just not the case. It's just people just don't think about it, and they're not only don't think about it, it's just the common sense of how that is just not sustainable. It's just not even there. They're just not even in their mindset.
Yeah, it looks good on paper.
Yeah,
Just
just
let
not
everybody
in
come
their
in and
mindset.
everybody can sustain. We don't have to worry about where they live or if there's enough water to sustain people in a community or anything. Yeah.
Look at our housing problem right now. I mean, we're not building enough houses fast enough to keep the housing prices down. The housing right now in the United States is obscene. A 200, 300,000 square foot house, or a 2,000 or 3,000 square foot house, which would have sold for $200,000-$300,000 8 years ago. I'm seeing 2,000, 3,000 square foot houses in Utah and other, not in California, but in small states where the housing was normal, $900,000, $1 million, and we're looking at our kids that are getting out of college and saying, go buy a house.
You can just do what Newsom does. You have a suspicious fire burn down an area like the Palisades and then say, we're going to put into legislation that we can take your land, and we're going to build low-income housing.
And even their low-income houses, not low-income housing, because I was looking at reports that just a one-bedroom, not even one-bedroom, just a simple studio apartment is $2,000-$3,000 a month.
Yeah.
And what kid coming out of college is making $6,000-$7,000 a month where they can afford a $2,000-$3,000 a month payment? I mean, you're finding more and more 20-year-olds living with their parents. And we used to make fun of people that are 25 living with their parents. But the smart kids will be
like you, where they start working at a young age and they start saving, and those are going to be the kids that can come out and afford to buy a house later on. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to be innovative and see what you're going to do to surpass those who just want to sit back and cry victim. I'm never going to be able to afford anything. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more 25, 26, 27-year-olds still living with their parents because how are they going to qualify for a loan? I'm making $20 an hour, $25 an hour, and you want me to qualify for a $900,000 loan? What bank is going to give me that? It's just not possible.
But I'm seeing young 20-year-olds who are going, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to find a renter. Yeah. I'm gonna buy this fixer-upper, this low one nobody wants. I'm going to put some sweat into it. I'm going to live upstairs. They're going to live downstairs. Mm-hmm. Then they
There's
sell
ways
it.
of doing it.
You've got to be willing to work.
Right.
But the other problem is we're getting so much immigration that it's just inundating our housing market, so where there's just not enough of it, and that's what's increasing the housing prices is the illegal immigration, because there's so many people coming in from foreign countries that are just inundating our housing market. Let's go through Janet here and your experiences. So my wife's from Colombia, home of major cartels over there, and not doing well right now because you guys actually have a cartel guy as the president right now.
Yes,
perfect.
It is crazy right now. We have pretty much our country divided. Some people still don't want to open their eyes, and they still support him and want him to run for second time. And we have a lot of people that we just are tired of living the same way, and they not feeling safe in our own country, and they limit all our opportunities. And it is a critical situation right now.
He is corrupt.
He is
corrupt.
And
he's ex-cartel, literally, blatantly. Everybody knows it, and they still elected him as president of the country.
And it's crazy because sometimes when he has to go in and speak, either he is drunk or he is high in drugs. Wow. And it's really, really crazy. And one thing that is very scary is that his ideals are very towards communism and very towards, we are afraid to have our country turn into Venezuela,
Because he wants to. The interesting, and I doubt that the vast majority of people listening to us today even know this, but they had a young man, 30s.
He was 30 something.
And he's like he's a Trumper.
Yes.
He's got the right mindset.
Yeah.
And you can Google this video because I've done it many times where he's in a public. He's up on a soapbox. Literally, he's up on a box, just a box, talking to a group of people around him in some social square.
No security around him.
He has no security because he doesn't have the money for security. Like, he doesn't have Secret Service or anything like that. Guy walks up right behind him, and you see the gun come out, and he shoots him in the back of the head. The bullet hits his skull, grazes off the skull, but gives him a major concussion, and he's still in the hospital with brain problems.
And he still have the bullet inside because they said that is very
it's inoperable,
dangerous. To do the surgery. Yeah, it's amazing. His grandfather, he was a president from for Colombia. His mother, an amazing journalist. When his name is Miguel Uribe, and when Miguel Uribe was only 4 years old, his mother wanted to have an interview with people over there, and she was kidnapped, and they killed her. And what is crazy is that his son is the same age that he was when his mother was assassinated.
Yeah, crazy story. So you grew up as a teenager, trying to get to the United States, coming across as a education visa.
Yeah, well, actually, it was never my dream to come to the United States. I saw a lot of people doing a lot of stuff, selling their houses, doing a lot of stuff to come in one way or another to United States. I never understood. I was just happy. But it was just for a different reason that I came.
She was engaged and the guy dumped him.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say it, but now that you mention it.
Lucky for me, she was engaged. The guy dumped her. She was still here on.
Well, yeah, I came with on a student visa, and in 2000, I came in September 1999, and then I applied later on because of a difficult situation I live in my country. I applied for political asylum, and that was 2001. The political asylum was not granted because I applied outside the year that I needed to apply. It was just a few months. But in 2003, I kept going to courts and with my attorney. And finally, in 2003, it was granted withholding of removal. And the withholding or removal is a form of protection in the United States immigration law that prevents a person from being deported to a country that would be face persecution or not very safe, and is a type of relief similar to asylum. And then later on, I got my work permit. I work as a teacher aide. I pay my taxes. I renew my work permit every year. It was very...
We'll kind of go through that. So, because this is a huge process, and obviously I intimately know everything that went on right there. I mean, you were involved in some political stuff down in Colombia.
Right.
There was assassination attempts, and then you came up to the United States on that education visa. Then because you're outside of the 1 year, I mean, the United States has this law that you're outside that 1 year. You could have gotten asylum, but
right.
For a technicality, you're outside that mark, and so instead of getting asylum, they gave you withholding or removal. The hard part, though, is the work visa, because they're not cheap. You have to renew it every single year.
The work permit.
The work permit.
Yes.
So kind of go through what it takes to get a work permit, how much it costs you every single year to apply and get that. Yeah,
my first year, it was around like $380 dollars, and plus that was only the form and the fees. So it was around like close to $500, and within years, obviously that price, it was a little bit higher every time. Yeah.
And you're talking about someone who's not making a massive income,
Yes.
trying to figure out how to pay $500 every single year to the government just so you're allowed to keep working.
Right.
How hard was the application process in getting that? I mean, it was just a matter of submitting the application and getting it, right? It wasn't like too difficult. It was just expensive.
It was it was a little bit hard, and obviously I didn't know how to do that, so I have to find an attorney to help me to find the right form to fill everything and do that.
And at this point, you're not the best at English either, so you're just here in the United States. How long did it take you to where you could actually hold a conversation in
Being
English?
able to communicate, like I said before, I was working and I learned the little thing that I know right now is it was just by myself. And how long did it took? I would say a year to be able to know what people are asking me and to be able to
That's not bad.
hold a conversation. It was a lot of I always advise my friends like quit watching soap operas in Spanish, listening to music in Spanish, and just immerse in the language and just try to, because this is like Angelica mentioned, we are we are just like guests in this country, and we have to abide by the law and everything that the country is, and the language is one of them.
Part of that was, because I'm going to preempt this because I know the whole story, so I'm going to kind of guide her along here. So part of that was you got to this country in Tampa.
Yes.
And you lived in Tampa, Florida for the first part of that you were here.
Yes.
But you made a decision that the only way you were going to learn English was to get out
Right.
of Tampa.
Right. When I was over there, I used to work in a daycare. And everybody was only Spanish. My roommates, it was just Spanish. I went to church, it was Spanish. So I convinced my roommates, and I said, hey, we need to get out. We need to move to a place that we are going to be forced to learn and immerse in the language. And all of them say yes. We just pack our cars and we moved to Utah. And by that time, it was not a lot of Latins Latin people in Utah. So.
And I want to point that out because, again, I'm pointing out to the fact that there's a lot of people who've been here for 20, 30 years and have done nothing to learn the language. And I just don't think there's an excuse for that, because if you can make the decision that, look, the only way I'm going to learn this language is by leaving and moving across the country and getting out of the Latin community, it can be done. It is possible to have that mindset and learn English. I mean, that's the first thing you got to do when you're immigrating to this country is to learn the language.
Yeah, put the effort, to do that.
And I just don't feel sorry for people who don't put the effort in. If you've been in this country for 5, 6, 10, 20 years and you still can't learn the language, I'm sorry, but I just don't feel sorry for you anymore. I just don't.
And there are also so many places. There are so many places that are offering classes for free. Even in churches, there are people that volunteer to teach English. So it's not that you had to go and pay a school. And also, there's so many programs online nowadays.
Right.
So it's not even an excuse. It's just time and effort.
It's just laziness. It's just sheer laziness.
It is. And I know it's hard to learn a language, but if you chose to come to another country, you have to pay the price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. You just got to pay the price. And part of that paying that price also is earning your own way, which is the next thing I want to get into. So you come across, you have nothing in your pocketbook, nothing. And kind of tell us how you made your living, and did you ever take substance or get into government programs?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm coming from a family for a very hard worker mother that I love very much, and she one thing that we have from my mother is the teaching that we have to support ourselves, that we need to get anything that we want and pay the price. So when I came, I just hold my work, and one time I have a car accident, and I have to have a second job, and it was really hard. I was very tired, but I did it for a little bit, for a few months, having 2 jobs to support myself. And it's funny because sometimes we take things literally. And when I heard for first time that the term of food stamps, I thought that it was really a booklet with stamps. But I didn't know, and I never wanted to do that because, as I said, I am coming from from family that has values and
You had friends offer you food stamps.
Yes. It was like a few years when I came to Utah. I have a friend, and we went to the store, and she was like, "Oh, don't pay, just use my mother." Food stamp card, and that's when I find out that it was a card, not just stamps. And I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. That doesn't sound right. I don't think it's okay. And I asked my friend, why your mother do that? Oh, because she doesn't need it. She find other ways to get the food, and so she just need the money. And I was like, no, that's totally wrong. And obviously, no, I didn't.
And I see that everywhere, where even not just American citizens doing that same thing, is where they get $1,500, $2,000 a month in food stamps. I don't know anybody that spends that much money in food on a monthly basis. And then they sell the food stamps, and they go pay for everybody else's food, and they just get the cash. And they usually just get the cash at a discount. And they said, look, I'll go buy 100% of the food, just give me 80% of the money.
Wow.
And they don't care because government's giving them money. The money is free to them. Someone's saving 20% on their food, and they're just getting the cash, and then go spend the cash on whatever they want. And it's just an extraordinary amount of fraud going on in the food stamp and the entitlement program. And again, it's not just amongst immigrants, because I know a lot of U.S. citizens that are doing that.
Right.
But it's even more prolific amongst the immigrants, where there are people out there teaching them how to get on food stamps and how to do that. But again, there's very, very few people like yourself that come across, one, legally, and then two, make their own way. And if it takes 1, 2 jobs, I mean, you're working at McDonald's, you're working at a daycare.
I work
Hard
with
jobs.
people with disabilities. It was really hard because I work with 2 guys that they were, one, he was older than me, and I have to change their diapers, help them to take a bath, and prepare meals, and making sure they didn't eat their
Feces.
Yeah, it was really hard, but I did it because I needed to find a way to support myself.
Yeah, so you came up through starting off at a daycare, then you started getting some schooling, started going through certificates, and got into becoming a school teacher.
Yes, I work for different. I work for Head Start program, and then I started taking as many courses and classes I could. And
you're paying for all these courses and classes out of pocket.
I did myself, yes. And I became a Montessori teacher, and it was all about effort and studies, coming from one work and go taking classes, and then study sometimes when I have a test or something, study till 2, 3 in the morning, and knowing that around 7 I have to be ready to go for my other job.
So again, I'm not feeling sorry, because I know more than you, there's a lot of people that kind of go through that. They put an effort out there learning English. They put an effort out there coming across into this country the right way, through the correct visas, And then you have the illegals coming across that just get the handouts. They get $2,000 a month in stipends. They get the free cell phone. They get free housing in New York. And you and I have seen that over the years of these people in New York getting all that free stuff. And I'm going to ask Angelica the same question is, when you see these illegal immigrants getting all this free stuff, when you put out the effort, how does that make you feel as a legal immigrant that worked 2-3 jobs, barely surviving, and then all of a sudden these people are getting all this free stuff?
It is very, very upsetting because we feel that it's just not okay. It's not just that it's not fair, it's just not okay because everything has a price. Nothing is free, and we should be able to work for what we want. So when we see these people just coming, and sometimes when I see that they got all these things free, living at 3-5-star hotels, getting cell phones, getting a lot of stuff, and on top of that, talking bad about this country, it makes me very upset. Because as Angelica said, I feel so grateful for this country. I love this country. I even, not only now for my process of becoming a citizen, but I studied the Constitution of this country long time ago and many times because I love this country and I want to know how can I defend and support this country.
Angelica, what do you think?
Well, I can't be mad at the people because if somebody receives something that is given for free, why they wouldn't take it? So I'm mad at the system. I'm mad at the Democrats and all these sanctuary states that allow this to happen. That is what makes me upset. Them. The people, they come here for a reason. Some of them come to work. But if they are given things for free, why not? They will say why not, because they come from countries that they don't have the mentality of earn things by yourself. They have always lived in governments that provide things for them, which is very low and little. And so I'm upset about the system.
And I can't agree with you more there because it is the system. But the system is designed that way, like I was just saying. It's purposely put that way because they want that dependency, because through that dependency they get the permanent voter,
right?
And the permanent voter keeps them in power, and that's all they want.
Yes, and at the same time, it's your decision. Yeah. It's your decision and your moral values, if you want to take advantage of that or not. Like in my case, I just love to work and support myself and do things for my own effort.
Well, for me, nobody came to offer me anything, so I don't even know how to go and get food stamp or anything. So I don't know. I don't know how people get that. So I'm assuming it's because they, as you said in the beginning, because Democrats want the vote, so they are offering that, they're offered that, and then they take it. I don't think anybody will say, oh no, I'm going to do it by myself. I don't know. Because in a way, they're feeling they're going to be protected, and they're going to get their state here in the United States kind of protected in a way from being deported or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So take it for that reason, because I don't think any legal immigrant will go to any office, government office, legal, give me a free apartment. They are offered that when they entered to the country in a way, and make them sign papers that they will be Democrat or something like that. I heard once. They make them sign papers.
I hear a lot of rumors like that, but again, it's kind of a mix where the government's offering it to them, and then it's also a mix where they come into the country, and then all of a sudden they learn about it from other immigrants. Oh, so-and-so told me you could do this. And then I know this consultant, and if you pay this consultant $500, they'll teach you how to get on food stamps. And then this consultant comes across.
to get a food stamp doing, you need to have like a what is your status here? That should be the first question. And the other problem is there are many people that are printing social security cards and all that stuff. So the immigration problem is deep. And there's so many branches that need to be fixed to really have a country in order.
Well, illegal immigration has created its own economy too, because like you're saying, there's a whole economy behind consultants getting on free food stamps and all that kind of stuff. There's a whole economy behind false documentation.
Yes.
I mean, you were offered social security numbers for dead people when you came across, and they were just, hey, buy this, buy that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people that, even Americans that offer themselves as husbands or wives for them to get immigration, like stay here legally. So it's a very hard problem to fix.
Yeah, and there's a lot of those people out there.
Trump is doing something and is putting, I think, in order things from just cleaning a little bit and put things in order. And I know that now from Chile, for example, is very easy to get visas. You just apply online and then you get it on your email. You don't need to even have an interview. But now they are stopping the visas. Even though you get a visa to come to United States, you go to the airport and then your visa can be canceled immediately right there. Or even getting into Miami and they say, oh, your visa was just canceled. It's because they don't want, I think, they don't want people coming in right now because they're trying to clean up the country in a way to have any type of order, because now it's just a mess. Immigration system is a mess.
Big mess, and obviously there's a lot of pressure on Trump right there to because he campaigned on mass deportations, and that's what he's trying to do right now. And there's a lot of false rumors going out there about how he's doing that. But again, it's coming down to how do we help those that need the help, but also get rid of everybody that should not be here. He's put out the offer that if you come and self-deport yourself, we'll give you $1,000 to kind of self-deport yourself. And Angelica, I mean, you came and go from this country several times and wasn't a big deal. And yet everybody makes a huge deal of, oh, I don't want to go back to my country because they're afraid they're not going to be able to come back, right? But you came and go, what, 3-4 different times?
Yes. But there are situations that, some people are afraid that they won't be able to come back. I was lucky in a way, but some people had that fear. And that's why they decide to stay. They overstay their visas and I don't know. So, it's not easy to come here legally. I have a friend who is a teacher and stayed in this country for 10 years with a working visa or more than that. So, and she was always with a lawyer and coming back to Chile to renew her visa, her working visa, and the school was doing all the papers. But then the government increased the value of the school to pay for her. And then so they decided not to have her anymore, and she had to go back. And she paid taxes. She was an honorable citizen, can I say? But she wasn't. But she never committed a crime. She paid taxes, but she couldn't stay any longer because she couldn't have. And she applied for other jobs in other school, but they had to pay a high price to keep her here, because they are the one doing that. So there's so many things, and people that are trying to do it legally, but sometimes it cannot be possible. And now she's back in Chile. She's trying to get another job, but here because she loves the United States, but it has been very hard for her to find a job.
Yeah, so it's kind of a bad thing on both sides. I've said this before. I mean, I want to completely stop the illegal immigration, but at the same time, the legal immigrations needs to get a complete overhaul, because it's the paperwork, the red tape behind it is insane. And I want to bring that subject up now, because now that Trump's in office, he's getting a lot of notoriety about the illegal immigration, about the ICE raids and all that kind of stuff, but nobody's talking about how the legal immigration has all of a sudden been fast-tracked.
As Janet and I have so many stories because we know everybody, we know the people.
Yes.
And so there's so many variants of all these of immigration.
Well, if you want to say one or two stories before you leave, go ahead.
Well, now I have in the church there is an American man who married a Peruvian girl, and it has been very hard for him to bring her here. And the time has been like more than a year, and they're always in a waiting list for her to get the interview. So, and then they have to log in this in the immigration site, and so it's in 100 and number 100, and then she's up to the 30, and then she's again down. So he's having a hard time bringing her here. I think it also depends where you are, what country you are. And I think for immigration in other countries coming to this is kind of slower right now. Because I think because they're trying to put an order in here. They're trying to put an order in these at home first and then worry about who wants to come. I think that is what I can see that it could be happening, but he's having a hard time bringing his family here.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be very difficult because I think you're right, is they're focusing on who's here and getting who's here out or who's here legal.
Yes.
And then they're just kind of holding everybody else back, saying you can't come in until we get what we have here fixed.
Exactly.
So those who are currently in foreign countries that haven't come across yet, it's probably much more difficult for them right now. Which I think
is the right thing to do. I will do the same if it was my house. I mean, I will check who is coming to my house. So, and I had to put order. Even the scripture said, put your house in order before you serve others. So
Exactly.
there you have it. Yes, God and the order of government should be the same. I mean, there's justice and mercy, but they need to serve both. So.
And it needs to be a house of order. It can't just be chaos. It can't just be whatever works.
Yes, this is not about feelings. It's not about being good or bad. It's about obeying the law and do the right things. And that, and all the countries have the same laws. I mean, in Spain, they are very hard with even people who speak the same language. And if you go as an American there, they don't speak English to you. You are forced to speak Spanish. So, this is a lover.
Yeah. I don't know why we're different. I don't know, but for some reason, the United States is different. I think the same thing about Israel all the time, too, is Israel's treated just differently. Perfect. We greatly appreciate you coming on with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
What I really wanted to point out is there's a certain way of doing this that struggles, and there's a lot of hardship trying to do it the legal route. And again, there's a lot of fear behind people that you're just going to get kicked out. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard for the poor people to actually come into this country. So I understand illegal immigration from the poor side. But then there's instances like yours, and there's a lot more than just you, where you come in and you're poor and you still come in on an education visa or a student visa, and you do it the legal way and you work hard day after day to not take advantage of the system. And then you got, again, like Salazar here, and I want to play another one of hers. And this is going to kind of repeat of what we just covered, but she says it again in a different way here, so.
The Trump administration ramps up its mass deportation efforts. Today, a group of bipartisan lawmakers announced a bill that would provide legal status for some undocumented immigrants. The Dignity Act, sponsored by Florida Republican Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar and Texas Democratic Congresswoman Veronica Escobar, would allow undocumented immigrants who have been in the U.S. since before 2021 to apply for up to 7 years of legal status with work authorization, provided that they pay restitution and check in with DHS regularly. It also includes enhanced border security provisions and protections for Dreamers. At a press event today, Salazar was quick to point out that the bill does not include a pathway to citizenship, and she insisted the bill does not provide amnesty.
Remember that dignity is not amnesty. It does not have path to citizenship. We're not talking about becoming Americans. We are trying to just bring them out of the shadows and have them go work in peace, pay taxes, and come back home at night.
What does protection for dreamers mean? What is that?
Dreamers are kids born in the United States under illegal immigrant parents, right? And that's what Angelica was talking about, is if you have a child born in Korea, the Koreans aren't going to make that a Korean citizen.
Right.
And for some reason here in the United States, we have that where doesn't matter if you're illegal or not, if you're born on U.S. soil, you're a U.S. citizen. And Trump right now is trying to change it, and that's actually got stopped, and it's going through the Supreme Court right now. And I think that's totally valid. If one of the parents are not U.S. citizens, you should not have automatic U.S. citizenship just because you're born on U.S. soil. There's not a single other country in this planet that does that, except for here in the United States. And it creates this problem where you have these dreamers that are either, a lot of dreamers are brought across the border illegally as kids at 1, 2, 3, 5 years old, and then they grow up basically in the United States, and all they know is the United States. They've never been to a foreign country, and then the U.S. is trying to figure out a way to help them stay here legally just because they were brought here as kids. Or you have parents that came across purposely pregnant and had their children over here, knowing that
somehow it would give them a pathway.
Give a pathway, because then that's where they get the term anchor baby from, right? Is trying to anchor the rest of the family. And I don't believe in anchor babies. I don't believe in any of that. And because once you have that out there, then people are going to take advantage of it. It's just how it's going to work. They're going to purposely come across pregnant, have their children here, try to anchor themselves, anchor the rest of their family here. Or they'll purposely come across the border with a 1 or 2 year old and try to go through the Dreamer program. And it's a great program on the surface for those people who are already here, but it's also an incentive to abuse the program. Then everybody will try to come across in those ways. And it's just
obviously they haven't heard that we're allegedly so racist here. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't want to come.
Yeah, exactly. So there's the legal way, there's the abusive ways that come across, but there's ways that you can come across poor and still exist. Mm-hmm. But like we were saying, those are abusing the program, because now you've got people purposely advertising. You can see this on Angie's List. If you go on Angie's List, you'll see it. People advertising, hey, I will be your husband, I'll be your wife to help you get papers, you just need to pay me this amount of money. There's men out there saying, hey, if you have sex with me so many times during the year, I'll anchor you and give you, and if you want to get divorced with me later, then that's fine too. And it's just a free pass to have sex with multiple women, because they'll get married to 5, 6 different women and get them all legal status and get divorced a few months later. And if you think I'm lying, go on to Angie's List and look it up. You'll see it. Not Angie's List, but Craigslist.
Oh yeah, Angie's is the construction.
Yeah, construction. No, I'm talking Craigslist. Go on to Craigslist.
Maybe it's on there too. You get a construction worker out of it.
There's, even on Craigslist and by word of mouth, you find these people that are consultants and helping illegals get onto food stamps and all these other programs. So there's a lot, like we were saying before we had the break, there's a whole economy behind this, behind illegal paperwork, selling social security numbers, selling IDs. Like we were just mentioning, you were offered social security numbers. And how did that happen? They just come up to you and say, hey, I can get you this?
No, it was just through friends that they knew that I was here, and they asked me, and they said, here, this is a faster way to get it, and
so they just come up to you and say, here's a social security number. Right?
No, they said that they have friends that they made those possible and easy and faster and very cheap.
So there's a whole economy behind identity theft.
I would say that it's a little bit like a mafia doing all that and offering different services, different things that they know that immigrants need, and they haven't been able to have, like a driver's license and social security number, things like that.
You know, there are, and I'm going to say men because I only know of men who have done it, where they offer them the illegal numbers, they get them jobs in the industry, and then they hold it over their heads. So then they have them running illegal
Cartel.
operations for them. And I know of this in Davis County. Running illegal operations for them, favors, all kinds of things, or else you're going to lose your job. And then
they
and I'll out you.
even said, if you don't do this or that, we will call immigration.
Exactly.
So, and people are just afraid. And
so in the beginning, it's all like, oh, this man's going to come save me, help me. He's got me my papers, got me a job. I can support my family. And now I'm a hostage.
Yes.
Well, look at what the cartel's doing. I mean, cartel's bringing a lot of illegals across the border, especially during the Biden years, and they're $3,000-$5,000 a head. So the cartel was making more money off of bringing people across the border than they were on drugs. It was a massive income for them, and now Trump shut it down. But then those people come subservient to the cartel. And if they don't pay up, they go after their families because they know where their families live in Mexico, kids, cousins, they don't care, and they'll string them up. I mean, I've seen a lot of them where they're dead.
Yep.
Hanging off of freeways, slaughtered, beheaded.
And then all the little bleeding hearts out there, like, you don't understand how dangerous it is for the illegal immigrants who are the good people who want to get across to live the American dream. You think that we're being mean to them. We're protecting them. It's better to go through legally.
So Trump, by shutting down the border, shut down an entire illegal syndicate.
Yeah.
Because it is the trafficking. It's not just the absolute control over the illegal immigrants and what they're charging them, the control they have in the families, the murders, the rape that happens to all of them. You know, the cartel members are taking 13-year-old girls, 12-year-old girls, and raping them as they come across the border. Parents just have to sit there and watch, or else they're not going to get across the border. And they just have to take it. Husbands have to watch their wives get raped. I mean, it's horrendous. And that's lucky if they just don't take the kids and just start throwing them into sex trafficking, which is what we're seeing is there's a lot of what they call unaccompanied. And I hate that word, unaccompanied minor.
Yeah.
Just say what it is. This is a child trafficking minor, because that's what it is. It's child trafficked minor. And I don't know why these stupid political terms are out there that it's an unaccompanied minor. Or who came up with that stupid term?
To keep the uneducated uneducated. So they'll
It's
believe
child
everything they see
minor,
on TikTok.
Whether it's sex trafficking or money trafficking, it's child trafficking. And there's, as we've seen on the news, there's 300,000 of them that they have no idea where they even are at.
Right.
And who knows what's happening to those kids or how many times they're getting raped. I mean, there's a report that came out that there's this one girl that Tom Homan was talking about that said that 13-year-old girl from the time they got into cartel custody to come across the border to the time that she got across the border, she was raped over 13 times.
Oh, my goodness.
By different cartel people. And they said there was obvious damage that they had to get her hospital care for, where she was bleeding, ripped. I mean, it's just horrendous of what happens there. And people are saying that it's inhumane to not let these people cross the border. It is inhumane to keep the border open because you have no idea the murder, the rape, the trafficking that was happening because that border was open like that. And then when they come across here, then all of a sudden they think it's easy. And then there's other ways they can get abused. We're going to get into what happened with you because there's a lot of people here taking advantage of the illegals, putting them into programs like you said, well, we're going to report you to ICE, we're going to report you to immigration if you don't do this, this, and this. Then there's other people kind of charging them money and says, hey, we'll help you your legal status, but you got to pay me this up front. And then they just take the money and run. And there's a lot of people that are soliciting that and getting that type of money and just have no business doing it. And then there's people who are actual attorneys doing the same thing. So you started your status, you got withholding removal back in 2003.
2003, that's correct.
And then you moved to Utah. What year did you move to Utah?
The withholding of removal, it was on the same year. I came in April 2003. The withholding of removal, it was granted in September. And The attorney that I have, his name is Austin Johnson.
What year did you get him in?
2003.
2003.
So he was not that great, to be honest. And when I have the withholding or removal, he said, before that, they said what I have, it was like we cannot give you the political asylum because you were outside of the year. And so my idea was, we have to. No, I just wanted to appeal the decision and see if I could get the asylum. And so the attorney said, something happened that I never seen in my entire career. And he talked to the judge because it's a judge, not an immigration officer, the one that could give you the withholding of removal, but an immigration judge. And he says that the judge, under his personal
discretion.
Yeah, he was granted me the withholding of removal.
Wow.
And I knew that it was God who put his hands in that, not the attorney, because the way that he fight, the way that he talk during my time with the judge, it was not that great.
So you had work visas for a number of years, and then when did we first apply for your green card? What year was that?
First of all, I needed to have a change of status because I didn't have a status. I was granted the opportunity to be in this country, but I needed to have a status. And so I needed to change that.
So you get withholding removal in 2003.
Yeah.
You have a work visa for 7 years. You and I met in 2010.
In 10, yes.
And that's the change of status?
We dated for 3 years. Then we got married. And then to change my status, I called Austin Johnson because it was the attorney that I thought that I could trust, especially because he was coming to the attending to the church I go, and so.
And you'd worked with him before.
And I worked with him before, so I thought I knew him. So we submit all the paperwork in 2013. Unfortunately, when I have the interview to check this, my marriage status, my husband was outside the.
Yeah, I was out of town. I was out of work stuff. I had to leave the state.
So
we tried to get them to postpone it.
I request
either to move it up or move it back because I had no way of.
To be on time for the interview. So I request that, but they denied it. So I lost the money, I lost everything.
Only that, but my parents showed up. Both my mother and father showed up to say, look, our son is on work.
So I went for the interview with my in-laws, and the immigration agent that needed to do the interview was very upset because obviously my husband needed to be there and he was not able to be there.
Which shocks me because my parents were there and he should have just listened. And he didn't even listen to 5 words.
I brought a folder with all the proofs, taxes that we did together.
Why didn't your attorney fight for you?
Well, that's all right. This is a horrible story. So we'll get into Austin Johnson not doing anything at all, but.
Yeah. So anyway, and then. Yeah, he did nothing. Then I have to try to get money and to apply again. And then 2015, I I called him, and we met at my in-laws' house. And because Uriah for work, he was always traveling. And so we met at my in-laws because they were going to loan me the money because I didn't have all the money. And so he got all the papers, and then time went by, few months, and one day I was supposed to submit all the papers on Wednesday. And the night before, around 3 in the morning, I have this very strong feeling to look for him in the internet. And it was so strong, and it was so persistent that I didn't have a time to question, why do I have to do that? And that feeling was so strong. And anyways, I got out from bed, and I looked on the internet, and I saw the reviews, and they were horrendous. And one of them says that he
Well, we got him here, so, and we're not really just picking on this guy just to pick on him, but there's a reason why we're mentioning this, and it's because a lot of illegal immigrants will go through this, where someone's out there taking advantage of it. And you just got to be real careful. If you're an immigrant and you're trying to get across legally, trying to do all this legally, there's enough problems. It's already sufficiently difficult to come across legally, let alone to have people who are taking advantage of you. And it's not just attorneys trying to take advantage of you. There's other people that will try to say, hey, I'm going to be a consultant. I know how to do this. Pay me this, pay me that.
And
don't believe any of that. Just find good quality attorneys.
Yeah. Can I interrupt?
Research them all.
So I met him to the place, and I found out that his license was suspended.
Well, it's not only suspended, but he had actually been disbarred as an attorney.
So when we met and start doing all the paperwork, he didn't tell me that he was going to do all this paper through an agency that he opened with his wife, and it's called Immigrant Rescue Center. He didn't tell me that his license was suspended, because by that time it was suspended. So anyways, I met him, and I said, do you have all the paperwork, all my papers? And he says, yes. And I said, and I asked him, do you have the copies? Yes, it's in this folder. So I got the folder, and I said, can I see it? I got the folder. When I was in my possession, I said, why you didn't tell me your license was suspended? And all his countenance changed, and he was very nervous. Then his wife was in the car. She called him. She wrote something in a piece of paper, and then when he came, he was totally different person. He was feisty. And anyway, so that night we called with Uriah. My mistake, and my advice for everybody up there that are trying to get an attorney, you should verify their credentials and check their state bar association
do a little bit of homework
to check that they are legally permitted to practice law in the state. Unfortunately, I didn't do.
You also need to check reviews of other clients.
Yes, I didn't do that because I trusted him, and so anyway, so that night we called, and I said, what you did, it was wrong. It was totally illegal. You were taking advantage of me, and I pay you $3,000. My mistake is it's out of the $3,000, $2,000 I pay him in cash. So he says, you don't have proofs to show that that you gave me all the money, only $1,000. And so we said we are gonna call the bar association to report this, because this is totally unethical. And his answer with a laugh was, good luck. And then he hung up on me.
Yeah, a lot of fun there. So I got involved there, and I called the State Bar Association, and we had a good conversation with the State Bar. The State Bar started an investigation in on him because he was already under reprimand and stuff like that. He did get disbarred after that. and a lot of stuff. But he made off with the $3,000. We never got a penny of that bag. So, I mean, you definitely have to do your homework, make sure you're dealing with the right people. And it's just not, I mean, he's a fluke attorney that went bad, but there's a lot of people that are saying that they're consultants or they know how to do it right, and they're just there to take advantage of people. So you got to be really, really careful, even on the legal side of this thing, to do your homework, do your
check
research.
Reviews.
And it's really easy to take advantage of someone who's illegal because they barely know the language. They don't know how the system works. They don't know how attorneys work. They're as naive as can be, and
I was by myself. It's really hard. So later on, I have to work really hard and try to, to save money and do the process again. And then in 2017, finally, I did it with an amazing attorney, Kimberly Sherwin. She's an amazing work for Lady Liberty, and she's the one who has been along with me on this journey, on this path to become a citizen. And so anyways, we submit all the paperwork. I gave her the paperwork that Austin Johnson was previously doing, and she finds so many mistakes, so many.
It was an absolute mess.
It was a mess, even misspelling things, and even for me that English is not is becoming my second language. I could have write a lot of things even better. But anyway, so we submit the paperwork in 2017. I don't know I don't understand why, but it took very long for me to have another interview, and it was in
almost 18 months to get that second.
It was my other interview that I needed to attend with my husband. It was January 16, 2020. So it was
3 years later,
very long time. So anyways, when we went, we have our son. He was almost 2 years old. We brought all the proofs that we needed, some of them that I already had previously, and the interview was amazing. Everything was good, and they said, okay, you're going to have, in a couple of months, you're going to have your green card. Later, but then the COVID came, and that slowed everything. And so finally we have I have my green card, obviously, and I pay faithfully my taxes. Even before I have my green card, my green card, I pay my taxes, and I did everything as I was supposed to, right? And then I have my citizenship interview after 12 years since the moment that I start my process. And after 12 years and $10,000, I have my interview. Very happy, super happy to have that done. And yeah.
Yeah, $12,000 because $3,000 wasted on Austin Johnson. And the interview process that went south because I couldn't be there. So there's a lot of things that we learned along the way that hopefully others don't go through those same mistakes.
Now, did you say that she suddenly got moved up?
So that's what we're going to talk about now. So obviously we started this back in Obama, went through had the issues with Austin Johnson when Trump was back in office, and then we kind of got the green card and everything like that during the Biden administration. It was just crazy slow. Like I said, it took us 3 years to get the green card interview, and then because of COVID, took another while to get the actual green card there. Just a long, drawn-out process. And then once Trump got into office, all of a sudden everything was fast-tracked. She got a letter in the mail saying, hey, you're going to have your interview coming up.
Can I say something? I have a dear friend that she passed her interview yesterday.
Literally yesterday morning, she passed her
Yes,
interview.
so we're so happy for that. And so she had, when she had the letter saying saying the time and date for her citizenship interview, her timing of waiting, it was 18 months. And then within just maybe few weeks, the time went from 18 months to just almost a month and a half. It was really fast.
That's
really
great.
Fast. So you know that the Trump administration is not only deporting people and getting immigration under control, but they're actually getting
helping the people that we
legal
want
immigration
to
back under control. Because I don't know why it was put out so long, or they just didn't have enough workers, or there's just too many red tape, or they just didn't even care. More likely they didn't care, because most of the people that are coming across legally are probably not voting Democrat, because they learn what freedom is, they learn what socialism is. The vast majority of them are conservative, and the Democrat side knows that, and so they promote the illegal immigration and slow down and slow track and red tape the legal immigration, because they know the vast majority of them are going to be conservative voters. And I'd hate to say it that way, but that's the honest truth.
It's probable.
Is they know all they care about is their voter block. That's all they care about. And to have something go from 18 months down to like 3 weeks with government, that's just not seen in government. So you know, to cut out 18 months or 17 months, whatever it is, it wasn't just red tape getting out of the way. It just wasn't additional staff members. It was something was happening on the other side that was purposely slowing down the legal immigration on purpose. Because you can't speed something up that quickly in any government function. None of that. It just doesn't work. 18 months down to 1 month, it's just not possible. And even yours went from, we had the green card, all of a sudden we had the letter saying your interview was coming up, and it said it was going to be anywhere from 0 to 6 months. It was within 2 months we had the interview.
Exactly, in 2 months.
2 months we had the interview, and then they told us that, hey, within another 2 months you'll have your swearing in. And that was told us it could take from 0 to 6 months. And then they came out, and we logged into it like 2 days ago, and it said, yeah, you should have it done within, I think it says 6 weeks now or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yes.
So even that's happening faster. And then when we went in for your citizenship interview, the whole room was full of people that were swearing in that day.
Right, yeah. They were holding an oath ceremony that day.
Oath ceremony that same day. And it was name the country, and there was people from in there.
Yes, from
people from Africa, people from the Middle East, Europeans, a lot of South Americans, just everywhere on that during that. And they pulled them all out for the oath ceremony. So you can't just sit here and badmouth Trump for the illegal immigration, because the legal immigration, for some reason, has just gotten fast-tracked, and people are actually getting their paperwork done faster. The interviews are coming faster. And I don't know what they're doing, because nobody's talking about it. I'm not seeing a single report anywhere on the news, or even post by Trump, even ex-post or anything, talking about the legal side being fast-tracked, but something's happening on the legal side. And just, it's interesting that no one's talking about that.
Right.
But again, going back to those of you who are trying to do the legal way, you got to be extra careful, because there's a lot of people out there purposely trying to take advantage and just taking your money. Yeah, that's
exactly what they want. More than helping, is just taking advantage and taking the money that we work so hard. They have no idea how hard and all the sacrifice that many people has to do
there's fraudsters taking money from old people and taking Social Security money. There's a lot of fraudsters who just don't care. And I think Austin Johnson is an anomaly when it comes to lawyers going bad. I think there's a lot more people out there that are not lawyers, or just claiming to know what they're doing. That, well, hey, give me $500, give me $1,000, and I'll do this for you, and then you just never see them again.
Yes.
So you got to be very, very, very careful on the legal side. Particularly those, maybe you know somebody that's going through the process that doesn't know English very well, ignorant of how the system works. Those are the people who are going to be taken advantage of most. So if you know people going through that process, you've got to talk to them. Open your mouth and say, hey, look, who you're working with, what attorney you're working with, what homework have you done with them, just to help them out, just to make sure. And maybe they're good. Just make sure that they're good.
And look for the reviews. There is up there in the internet. You can look for the reviews and see what other people's experience has been with that attorney.
Yeah. Lucky for us, Kimberly, or Kim, what we know her, is a family friend of my family. She's been a family friend with ours for 20 plus years. She dated a guy that used to live with us, and then they got divorced later, but she's continued to be a family friend of ours. So when we got rid of Austin Johnson, I immediately called her because she was an immigration attorney, and she's an absolute gem. Liberty Law out of Ogden. Anybody can be referred to her. She's an absolute gem. But
yes.
And she was there on interview day because they don't allow us in there.
No.
They don't allow the husbands in there, so it's just her.
Yeah, as I said, from the moment that we start the process with her, she has been with me all along my journey, on my side, always right there for any time that I have questions, that I was not sure about things. She was always there, giving me all the help and information that I needed.
What a blessing.
So the same way that you see bad people taking advantage, there is always someone good right there to help you.
So we're going to ask my wife how the interview process went and the study process, because I went through the study process with her, where how she was studying day in and day out, because they'll ask you 10 questions. You have to get 6 out of 10 questions right. And people think, well, 10 questions is easy, right? Why would it be so easy? The problem is you don't know which 10 questions they're going to ask. They give you a huge thing of facts you got to learn. You got to learn geography, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean,
how
where
the
the states
government
are at,
works, and the
rivers within the United States. So there's a whole bunch of stuff about geography. Then there's a whole bunch of stuff about the 3 branches of government. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you have to learn. History, there's a ton about World War II, World War I. There's just a lot of history you have to learn. So, and they can ask you 10 questions about any of that. It's just random questions. So going in there not knowing which 10 questions are, you have to know everything, which I think they do on purpose so that they can keep the interviews down to a minimum by only asking you 10 questions, but not letting you know which 10 questions they're going to ask you. Then they force you to learn everything, which I think is good, because now, like your friend was saying, you got people that come in educated, understanding what this country means,
right?
What freedom is, what a republic is, and actually having pride in our freedoms and all that. I mean,
knowing the cost of freedom.
There's a whole bunch of education behind that. So
and
I want to play something.
Because it is like Angelica and I, we said we are grateful for this country. It is impossible to be grateful with something that you don't know.
Yeah. So I'm going to play this video. This video is actually pretty funny. It's Sofia Vergara. But it's my wife, because trust me, when we went through the studying program, this was her.
Okay, you ready to begin?
Yes.
The United States government has how many branches?
3.
Correct. What color are the stars on the American flag?
White, but I feel like it's my duty to tell you that you have a flag right behind you. So probably you need to ask me another question.
No need. Congratulations, you passed.
What? That's it? 2 questions? And I have a cheat flag? That's all it takes?
Yep. You'll get an official letter in the mail with the details of your oath ceremony.
Do you know how long I've been studying for this? You're robbing me of the feeling of achievement. Ask me another question, and a hard one this time.
But you already passed.
Do it.
Okay. How many members of Congress are there?
You know what? It's too late. You already said that I passed.
Too late. You already said I passed.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel, I feel the same way like with her because I was cooking and I was listening to the 100 questions. I was in my car listening to 100 questions. I was driving with my son. Oh, as a matter of fact, my son, you can ask him, he knows a lot of the questions.
That's
because
awesome. He's what, 7?
He's 7 and he knows, how many members of the U.S. Congress? He said, Mom, there are 100, remember? There are 100.
Senators. And then
Senators, and there are 102 per state. And he knows a lot because I was studying.
Let's go take him downtown Salt Lake and put him up against some adults there.
Yeah, I was studying everywhere, anytime. I even studied the Constitution and to understand the questions better. And
weeks and weeks and weeks of studying. And she was a nervous wreck, just to be honest. She was a nervous wreck. She thought this thing was going to be big freaky thing going on. It was the nicest thing ever. But
yes, from the moment that I got into the interview, the office, it was smelled super good, and I told the immigrant agent, oh, this smells so good, and everything changed for me. I felt like at home. She was very, very wonderful, and she made me feel like all my worries were behind, and it was really good. And the questions, they were super easy for me because I already memorized and not only memorized, but I went a little bit further. And one question, and I went to study and deep is into the question to understand more and not just memorize that, in history. I'm passionate about U.S. history, and I went to study more about the presidents and philosophy and things like that.
So you get into the interview room, go through the questions you were asked.
I remember one, it was who was the president during the World War II. The other question was when is the last day to file taxes? What is the ocean that goes on the East Coast? Other question was, who's the father of the nation? It was 6 questions, to be honest. I don't remember the other one, but it was just 6 questions, and then we went to the reading part and the writing part.
You have to show proficiency in English.
Yes.
Which, again, there's a lot of people go in there without knowing any English. And, again, no excuse. Because when you learn English in a year, your friend learned English within a year. I mean, if you put the effort there, I mean, you specifically moved from Tampa to Utah to get out of
and for me, it was even harder because I became a Spanish teacher, so I spoke Spanish. I'm still speaking Spanish for work during the whole day. Then I got pregnant. I want my son to be able to communicate with my family, so I spoke Spanish since he was in my belly. And I still making an effort to keep immerse myself in the language and learning more day by day.
Well, it just kind of goes to shows that where there's a will, there's a way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just want to sit there and be lazy, then you don't have to learn the language, you don't have to learn history, you don't have to do anything, you just pick up your food stamps and go home.
Yeah, there is no excuse at all.
You went through quite a struggle to get to this point. Did any of those struggles, do you look back and see how they helped you grow, or are there any of those struggles that you are grateful for? Did something come of that?
Yeah, definitely. It helped me to appreciate a lot. life, appreciate this country, appreciate all the opportunities that I have, and more than anything, to be grateful for God, with God, because I felt His hand all the way. I have angels in the form of my friends and family, help people that support me, and I have the strength to overcome difficult situations. And just, sometimes I have a rheumatoid arthritis, and sometimes it was painful for me to go to work. I was driving all the way to work, and I was in tears. I park my car, wipe away my tears, get in the classroom with a smile and joking around with my students, and they have no clue that I was in pain. And I give all this strength thanks to God, because I could have not been able to make it on my own just because of Him.
That's beautiful.
So the kind of last thing I want to kind of go into is what's happening today. I mean, there's a lot of bad rumors going on about ICE. I want to play a quick video here.
That's been taking place in recent weeks in Los Angeles. We do know that President Trump was speaking on Air Force One earlier today about the situation in Ventura County. He said, quote, and again, it's a bit of a lengthy post, but he comments on some of what we saw in Ventura County at the cannabis farm. He said, quote, "I'm on my way back from Texas and watched in disbelief as thugs were violently throwing rocks and bricks at ICE officers while they were mowing down a roadway in their car and/or official vehicle. Tremendous damage was done to these brand new vehicles. I know for a fact that these officers are having a hard time with allowing this to happen, and that it shows such total disrespect for law and order." Trump continues, "Therefore, I am directing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem and Border Czar Tom Homan to instruct all ICE, Homeland Security, or any other law enforcement officer who is on the receiving end of thrown rocks, bricks, or any form of assault to stop their car and arrest these slime balls using whatever means is necessary to do so. I am giving total authorization for ICE to protect itself, just like they protect the public. I never want to see a car carrying a law enforcement officer attacked again. Authorization immediately granted for arrest and incarceration," Trump says. "Thank you for your attention to this matter," the president said on social media. So we continue to track this breaking news. We have not heard a response from Trump specifically about this federal judge order that's coming down here on Friday. Again, to repeat, the breaking news of the hour is that a federal judge on Friday is ordering the Trump administration to immediately halt indiscriminate immigration stops and arrests in 7 California counties. That does include Los Angeles County.
So 2 things in there that I want to get into. One is obviously the abuses on ICE, and 2 is another judge. So what ICE is doing right now, and this is kind of where the rumors are going around, is they've gone through court systems, they're going through jails, and they're going through and just finding anybody in a court system, or through a jail system that has a criminal record, and then they go get an arrest warrant, or they go get the deportation that they order that they already have, and they go find the people and they
Arresting
go arrest them.
a criminal.
Go and arrest the criminals. And so a lot of people are seeing that side of thing, which they think which most people are supporting. If they got an arrest record, if they got a criminal record, if they're in the prison system and they've got already deportation order, then go ahead and arrest them and kick them out. The other side of this is where the protests are happening. Is ICE agents are also going to the Home Depots, where we have the Home Depots, and you got all the illegals just standing out there looking for the day labor. They're going to the cannabis farms. They're going to these other places, and they're just randomly arresting illegals standing out there. And what they do is they go out and arrest them, and then they run a background check once they find out who they are. And once they find out who they are, then they're finding felons. Like here in the cannabis farm, they found the kingpin of one of the cartels. And a Home Depot, and at the very beginning of this thing, they went to Home Depot and they just arrested a whole bunch of people just standing out there looking for day laborers. And a lot of people are having really big problems with them just going out there and randomly, what they call indiscriminately, just arresting people standing out there wanting day labor. And so they want to arrest them, and they show them chasing them down the street and all that kind of stuff and arresting all these people. and then they run background checks on them after they arrest them. And that's where the judge found a problem, is you're indiscriminately arresting people and then running and finding out who they are. We want you to know who you're arresting before you go out and arrest them. And I told everybody in this last one of our podcasts we did before, a couple of videos, that it's going to come to a point where he's going to get through all the illegals. He's going to have all the criminals arrested that are in the prison system or in the court system. And it's going to get to where they're just going to start arresting normal people. It's going to get there. And that the left is going to try to throw out such a bad rap on it that it's going to put a bad taste in everybody's mouth, where everybody, including conservatives, are going to rise up and say, okay, that's enough, Trump, you just got to stop. And that's what the left wants to have happen, which is why they started protesting the criminals and all that, of having them, because they tried to use Trump's negotiation against him, where he starts at the extreme and works his way in. The left started at the extreme, where they started protesting, even kicking out the criminals and the people in the prison system, because they know that most people would support that, but they wanted to draw a line somewhere, and their line in the sand is with just common people. Why? It goes back because they want those common people to have a path to citizenship. They want those common people to count the census, because it boosts their power. And we're getting to that point now where ICE is just starting to just go out and arrest illegals, period. They're going to construction sites. They're going to farmlands. They're going to all these places and just arresting people. And then once they arrest them, they're running their fingerprints, they're running their background checks, finding out who there has criminals records, and a lot of them do, which is what they keep reporting. It says, look, we went to this.
Are they arresting or detaining and then running the background check?
They're arresting. Well, they're detaining, but they're not letting them go either. So they're, if they're illegal, they're illegal. So they're detaining everybody that they get their hands on that's illegal. And that's where the bad taste is getting in a lot of people's mouth, and where the protests are coming from is that, according to them, it's indiscriminate. But they've always said, if you look at Tom Homan, if you look at Kristen Noem, if you look at President Trump, they've always said from the beginning that if you're illegal, you've already committed a crime, and illegal is illegal. And they've never differentiated between those who have criminal records, those who are in the prison system, and those who are illegal. They've not once ever differentiated between the two. The people who are differentiating it between the two are the left, are the news media that are trying to put a line between the two. That
Obama said the same thing when he was in office. Where was all the uproar then?
They're the ones trying to put the line between. They're the ones that say that Trump's trying to just do the illegals, and Trump's never said that. He's never said, I'm not here just doing the criminals. We're doing all illegals. And the rhetoric out there is trying to purposely put a line between those who have criminal records and those who are normal. And that's where the problem arises. So the second part of this is where that judge in Southern California said, okay, you can no longer indiscriminately go out and arrest people, which means they can't go to the Home Depot, they can't go to the farmers and just arrest people and then run the background check on them. They have to have the name, have the record on the people, and then go arrest that specific person, which obviously is impossible because we don't know who's here illegally. How do you go get a name when we don't know 10 million people that cross that border? It's just not possible. And they're doing that on purpose just to stop the deportations because they want them to stay. They need them to stay.
Yeah, and the problem is that those call influencers and TikToks, they are showing and spraying a lot of bad things and making look Trump bad and the system, all that. And a lot of people are very afraid. And that's what they are promoting, fear. And showing things, and they show. I saw one TikTok of this person that has a backpack in a hoodie, and it was very, very petite. And they said they are arresting kids, But then they didn't show the whole piece of the news when they showed the person, and it's not a kid. It was a lady that it was just petite, and she had something. She committed a crime or something, and that's why they were arresting her.
And those kind-hearted people who believe everything they see on TikTok, you're buying into it without checking your sources, without looking at the whole film.
Well, the main thing is they've never differentiated, Trump, the administration, they've never differentiated between we're only going after those with criminal records. They've never said that. They said they are getting people with criminal records, but they've never said we're only going after those with criminal records. They're going after illegals, period. And because of the news media, because of the narrative, the news media and the left are trying to differentiate the two because they want to put a line there. They want the deportations to stop with the criminals and keep everybody else because they want everybody else to be here, stay here, be part of the...
It's an unfortunate consequence to opening the borders the way it was done in the last administration. There's going to be consequences to stupidity.
And like we said from the beginning, our problem is they cannot vote. We cannot have that's our line in the sand. We cannot have illegals voting. Period. They cannot vote. I can't stress that enough. They cannot vote because it will completely skew our society.
It is written in our Constitution. To be able to vote in a federal election, you need to be a citizen of the United States.
They're already passing laws in New York. New York has already passed that illegals can vote. And there's other communities trying to pass those laws where illegals can vote, at least in local elections, and they're just trying to make it national. And the problem is what we said right at the very beginning of this, is when you come across legally, like what you did, you get a sense of honor, you get a sense of purpose, you understand what this nation is, you understand freedom, you understand all these things, and people just willy-nilly come across a border, they just don't have the morals. They don't have this sense of what freedom is. They bring whatever they knew from their way they grew up, where they existed before. They just bring that with them. And it's not necessarily their fault because they did not know anything else, and they still don't know anything else. All they know is what they had back in Mexico or back in Venezuela or back in Colombia, where they come from. That's all they know. They don't understand our system here.
Right.
And unless we go and educate them on that system, they'll bring what they knew here, and they'll make here like it was back there. And we can't have that. We can't have Mexico here in the United States. We can't have Venezuela here in the United States. And unless there's an education process, we will have, and we already are having in a lot of these poorer subdivisions and communities within the United States, we're already having miniature Mexicos, miniature Venezuelas, miniature Chinas, miniature Iraq and Afghanistan, particularly when the Muslims are coming across illegally, and there's a lot of them have come across illegally across the southern border, to where those entire communities are completely changed to what they were in their old countries. They're not assimilating. They're not understanding.
And the crazy thing is that they want to impose their culture and their laws, and they don't want to abide or respect or obey the Constitution of this country. They just want to impose their own things.
They have no respect for it. They have no honor for it. They don't care about it. They don't. They just they're escaping their old countries because they hated what was going on over there, and yet they come here and they just continue what they had. And that's what mass illegal immigration is going to cause. It will destroy this country, absolutely destroy it. And then you can see that here is you get a lot of protesters just completely disrespecting law enforcement, which forces Trump,
burning the flag.
Burning the U.S. flag, I think that's atrocious. Throwing rocks at the police vehicles, throwing Molotov cocktails at the police vehicles and the ICE vehicles. And Trump says now your ICE agents are now free to arrest people. They're absolutely free. So if an ICE agent gets a normal U.S. citizen, some Joe Blow off the street, U.S. citizen that's throwing a Molotov cocktail or a rock at their vehicle, ICE can now stop and arrest that U.S. citizen.
Good.
But the problem is now that's where that narrative is coming is they're arresting U.S. citizens. Yes, they are. Doesn't mean they're going to deport U.S. citizens, but they are being arrested for assaulting a police officer,
yes.
which is a law. You can't assault a police officer. You can't assault law enforcement, and that's what you did.
And that is difficult. That is so crazy because I know a lot of good people that came to this country and they are working really hard, honest people, and they are very upset seeing a lot of people from their own country waving their flag and doing what is wrong, and because of their actions, these good and honest people, the hard workers, immigrants, they are now having to pay the consequences.
They're getting the bad rap.
Pay the consequences because of these irresponsibles, and it's crazy because some people, they don't even speak Spanish, and yet they are fighting and doing those protests. And
most of those people doing the protests are either U.S. citizens or probably Black Lives Matter protesters.
And they don't understand the kind of damage they are doing to the good immigrants that are in this country pursuing a dream.
There are those who say they've got proof that BLM came and they loaded up street corners with rocks in those places where the path was going to come through.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of dreamers there. There's a lot of kids that are born in the United, or anchor babies. There's a lot of anchor kids that have illegal parents that are the ones out there protesting and throwing rocks because they know they themselves can't get kicked out. Their parents are illegal. They were born here. And they're finding that there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of them coming from the college campuses that have major issues with indoctrination at the college campuses out there protesting.
If we had more of the education you got to become a citizen in our local schools, so that the kids would understand this.
Learn to learn more about this country, learn more about the history, be grateful for all the good men and women that they have sacrificed their own lives to give us the freedom that we have. Our founding fathers and many good people that they have done so many things so we can enjoy the freedom that we have.
And this country was established by imperfect people who tried to do the right thing. You're going to find mistakes. You're going to find mistakes in every country. No human is infallible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The main thing I wanted to point out is when you start hearing about they're arresting a U.S. citizen, they're arresting a U.S. citizen. Yes, they are.
What did they do?
Did they assault a police officer? Did they assault the government vehicle? They're not getting deported, but they probably will be going to seeing a judge and getting charged with assaulting a police officer or damaging U.S. property. So just because an ICE agent is arresting a U.S. citizen, look past that, find out what they do to get arrested, and understand that the narrative is to say that they're deporting U.S. citizens when they're not. U.S. citizens will obviously go see a judge. They'll obviously face charges for the assault. And then those who are legal, they'll probably face deportation. And also understand that ICE agents are not being indiscriminate with only arresting those who have criminal records. If you are illegal, you are subject to being arrested, period. Mm-hmm. So if there's a narrative out in the news media or by somebody on the left saying that they're only arresting those who have criminal records, they're only arresting people in the court system, it's not true. It's never been true. Tom Homan, Christian Noem, they've always been out there saying, we are arresting illegals, all illegals. Now, we're targeting those with criminal records first, but eventually we're going to get to everybody. Why? Because there's 40 million illegals in this country. Everybody says there's 10, 20 million just came across during the Biden era. Obviously, we're not going to get to 40 million people. That's just absolutely impossible. The numbers are way too big. But ICE is probably going to get to several 100,000 of them, maybe even a couple million, maybe, because even arresting a couple million is a pretty daunting task. But to get to that many people, you're going to move much past criminal records. And so my suggestion for those of you who would like to stay here legally is find a way to get yourself legal status, learn English, get off of social assistance, put yourself in somebody else's shoes and do it the right way. I would not hang around those who have a criminal record, because if you're hanging around in the same house, in the same party, the same social club, the same bar with criminals, and ICE hits it, you're going to get picked up with the rest of them.
Yes.
You're going to get picked up. So it's going to be down to who you hanging out with. Stop hanging around with others that have records. Start doing things right. Start learning English, and put an effort out to try to get yourself legal status. If you've been here for 20, 30 years illegally, and you haven't even started the paperwork, there's no excuse.
No.
There's no excuse. And I can say that, you can say that, because we've been here. We've done the process.
Yes.
I know lots of people, you know lots of people that are done the process, and it always isn't through the marriage process either. They've done it through work processes and others. I know people that are husband and wife came across, and they've got themselves legal. There's just no excuse. And people just say, well, it's just virtually impossible. No, it's not. I know too many people, and you can't fight me on this. I know too many people who have done the process, who have slaved themselves with 2-3 jobs so they don't have to live off of the government, figured out how to learn English, and stopped hanging around with everybody that just spoke Spanish. And no matter how the paperwork process, they've come up with the money to pay attorneys, they've come up with the money to pay the fees, and they started the paperwork process. And if you're not willing to do that, then you probably deserve to be deported. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Make the sacrifice that it takes to be an asset to those of us who are citizens. Be an asset to us. We are the government, or get out.
Yeah. Learn why we're here. Learn what the United States is. The United States isn't about socialism. And if you're going to push socialistic ideals, if you're going to come here with a entitlement mentality that everybody else owes you something, nobody owes you a thing, not a dime. You got to work it out. When this country was established, people came over from the European countries. My ancestors came over from Scotland. They had nothing. There was no social assistance programs back then. There was no government programs back then. You lived on the streets until you made it. They went out and farmed, and they went out and dug up the dirt and figured it out. In their own countries, I mean, we had our own Revolutionary War. We stood up to England. There were just a bunch of farmers with pitchforks and a few rifles that stood up to that point, the biggest nation on the planet, which was England at the time. And there's a lot of these countries where the people just run and they don't stand up to their own governments. Venezuelans, they voted to have their gun rights taken, and now they can't even stand up to their own government.
Yeah.
Mexico is a completely failed state. Completely failed state. And Mexico is controlled by the cartels. And you've got a government that will not ever fix the situation down there unless the United States comes in and interviews and takes out the cartels. So I see the issues that are around the world, but people either got to start standing up to their own governments, and a lot of people will die. A lot of people died in our Revolutionary War. Even more died in our Civil War. Death is part of it, and you've got to be able to stand up to your own country. I think is what's going to happen in Iran. We're not going to go over there and do a regime change in Iran, but 80% of the Iranians can't stand the Ayatollah, and they're probably going to stand up and have a revolutionary war over there and overthrow their own government. I can see that coming. But that's a group of people who are willing to do that, and I just don't see that in South America. I don't see that amongst other nations, that where you're patriotic enough about your own country that you're willing to stand up and die for it. Because here in the United States, if our country went socialist or was headed socialist or was headed communist, I can guarantee you that more than 60% of the men in this country would stand up and fight for it and die for it before we'd let it do that. We wouldn't run to another country. We're not going to run to Canada. We're not going to run to England. We're not going to run to Mexico and abandon the country. We'd stand up and die for it. And I just don't see that happening in other countries. Anyway, any last words?
I just think put in the hard work. The self-esteem that will come from putting in the hard work to make things right is beyond any free government assistance you're going to get.
I hope Representative Salazar, I hope her Dignity Act gets some traction, because I think it'd be good. I just hope they add into it
Yeah, we'll have to watch
no record
that.
of social assistance and no criminal history at all. Because a mix between mass deportations and that, I think, would work, because we're not deporting 40 million people.
And there is a lot of good people that they love this country, and they want that opportunity to be able to work towards any legal status and keep up the good work.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thanks for being on with us at this week's God and Country. So again, next week we're going to have another veteran on. She's part of Veterans of Foreign Wars, like the interview we did a couple weeks ago, so she'll be on with us. And then again, we'll have Burgess Owens, who rescheduled, be with us the week after the 28th is what he's rescheduled for. And then we have a Utah senator, state senator, not U.S. senator, state senator coming on in first week of August. So look forward to those, and we will see everybody next week.